Skyland, in a lot of ways, is a reimagining of the tower. It was built with the same general idea in mind of being able to look out over the old world. In 2019, when the realm was first opened, I wanted a brand new base to commemorate the occasion. The name Skyland was really the first thing that came to me. It's a sky island. So I picked an area that was still relatively close to spawn and was previously occupied by a build called The Farm, which had been the last thing I worked on with Bagheera King before he left the old world. My initial idea was to have a base that was only accessible through the nether, so I started working on the ground portion, which was really just a big hole with a nether portal in the center. The intention was to make Skyland look like it had been ripped out of the ground itself and just kind of floated up there and got stuck in the atmosphere. Then I would have a nether portal up there and some kind of decorated path in the nether to quickly travel between the two locations. Unfortunately, the spot where I wanted to place the portal was higher than the nether ceiling itself, so my entire plan was shot. And with new players joining around that time and setting up bases nearby, there was going to be a ton of portal interference if I didn't perfectly sync them. I then moved on to plan B, which was to make the base only accessible with an elytra, but that came with its own set of problems. I can't begin to tell you how many times I plummeted to my death thinking my elytra was equipped when it actually wasn't. But what's cool about Skyland is that thanks to the low render distance on realms, it's essentially hidden. You really need to know where Skyland is in order to find it. Now, let's take a closer look. I'm currently standing at the center of Skyland. This is a bit of a weird base to navigate, but I wanted to start here at the nether portal because had my original idea for this worked, this is where you would have entered the base. You'll notice that there's a trapdoor here and another door to the right. We're going to ignore those for now, but we'll circle back at the end of the tour. When I built this place, the whole thing was made of dirt. The first thing I did was carve out the center and put this bridge over the gap, but after that I honestly had no real direction for what I was going to put up here. I knew I wanted a pond, so I turned this whole section into one. Pretty much everything I decorated it with was collected from the area where the Aquarius currently is. Obviously I needed a place to sleep, but I didn't want to make the typical house, so I had this idea to put the house on stilts over the water. The design itself was a combination of something I saw online mixed with my own unique ideas. It's a small house, so there's a limited amount of space, but it's pretty well utilized. If you've watched my last two tours, you'll definitely see a progression in how well I decorate my bases. I think that's a combination of my own growth as a player, as well as the game simply giving us more tools to work with. Which factor plays a larger role in my case is debatable. You can tell immediately that the kitchen has way more character than the one at my last base. It comes complete with a working fridge, which is a classic Minecraft design from way back. Then back over here are the guest quarters. It's a small room, but I think having all these windows surrounding it makes it feel larger than it is. If you head up the stairs and past this exit sign, you'll find yourself in the main bedroom. This door leads to a little balcony that overlooks the rest of Skyland. It's just a fun little feature to have. This other door leads outside to what I call the landing zone. I guess you could consider this the entrance and exit of Skyland. My goal with this was to create a fun way of leaving the base. Back at the front of the house and crossing over the bridge, you'll notice this strange looking building. This is my dedicated enchanting and brewing area. Here I tried to create the illusion of a massive library, even though the room itself is pretty compact. Then on this side, I set up these barrels to house all my glassware for making potions. For the design of the room itself, my goal was to incorporate blocks I didn't use frequently. This ladder takes you up to my potion and enchanted book storage. I organized my books by the level of the enchantment. Then on the other side, I actually labeled the potions and stuck them on the front of the chest. This book in the center is just decorative, there's nothing written in it. And this door leads out to another balcony that just gives you another perspective of Skyland. Okay, exiting that building, we'll head left. One thing I'd like to point out are just the minor details. The grass, the flowers, I really like that look. This tree is kind of an inside joke. The short story is that I have this friend that tried Minecraft once and it didn't click with him for whatever reason. So it's just a reference to the 30 minutes he tried the game for. Here is my gardening shed. This is where I keep all my overstock on crops and seeds. I'm pretty simple when it comes to farms. I don't really do anything automated. I can see the appeal, but I enjoy collecting everything myself. I won't spend too much time on this building because it's pretty self-explanatory, but basically each floor houses a different crop, and the top floor is just for planting trees. Heading to the other side, you'll probably notice this sign here. No matter how much I tried to light this place up, inevitably something would spawn in, so it's forever set to 0 for that reason. I needed something to decorate this side of Skyland, so I decided to add this little campfire setting. It's simple, but I think it looks nice. This building is similar to the previous one, but houses livestock instead of crops. To get the animals up here, I created a spiral staircase of dirt and used a lead to drag them up. A time-consuming and tedious process for sure. There's probably a more efficient way to do it. I'm not sure, but that's the method I went with. The first floor is where I keep my horse. The second floor is for pigs. Third floor is for sheep. Fourth floor for cows. And on top, we have the chickens. If you go back to the fourth floor, you'll find a bridge that gives you quick access to the other building. Just a fun little detail to add a little something extra to the build. So now we're back in front of the nether portal, and it's time to take you through this door to the right. Here is where you'll find Skyland's storage room. And unlike my previous bases, this one really isn't a secret. The thing I like most about this storage room is that I literally utilized every inch of space I had to work with. Because the outside structure of Skyland narrows down to a point, I had to get creative with how I was going to structure this room. The age-old question that every Minecraft player will ask themselves at one point is, how should I organize my storage? For this base, I had to calculate exactly how many chests I needed beforehand, which is why you'll notice that some chests have signs instead of item frames, because I hadn't actually acquired the item at that time. There's a room over on this side that I referred to as my world of color. Then back here, I have a section dedicated specifically to the Nether and the End. This base predates the Nether update, which is why I don't have any of the newer stuff here. And that's really where the downfall of this storage room lies. It's not future-proof. Adding to it would require a massive redesign of the room itself. The final part of the room is down these steps here, and this is the main crafting room for the base. At the end of the day, I love designing storage rooms. It's probably one of my favorite things to do in Minecraft. And speaking again on how I tried to maximize the full potential of this base, down here I made a small additional storage area for things that tend to accumulate in large quantities like dirt, cobblestone, and netherrack. So that's Skyland. It was a great base for its time, but the novelty of having it only accessible with an elytra wore off after a while. So in 2020, I packed up and moved on. The next tour will center around my current base, and that's the White House. Until then, see you in the realm.